First of all, I would like to thank the Xavier University in Cagayan de Oro for considering me as the resource person for today. As I have mentioned to the staff, I told them frankly, and I'm going to tell you that I am a practitioner and I am not really a teacher that can be a very good speaker for any presentation that I will be presenting. So I just have to make sure, I just try to present to you the experience that I have for the last 20 years in the field of drip irrigation system. So the topic that I'm going to discuss is the precision irrigation, which mainly focusing on the drip fertigation system. Considering that we are the exclusive distributor of Netafim from Israel, I will be presenting more on, or I will be presenting with Netafim on the presentation. So I hope everybody know about Netafim already, but to have additional idea about Netafim, Netafim is the, let's say, the founder of drip irrigation technology. It was founded in Israel, Kibbutz Magal, in early 1960s. And then after that one, it was used by the Israeli farmers to irrigate fields, to irrigate farms, for them to conserve water. So in late 1960s or early 70s, Netafim products has been exported in some countries worldwide. And as of today, there are about thousands of manufacturers of drip irrigation technology. And we're happy to say that even at 1,000 manufacturers worldwide, Netafim still captures 30% of the world market. So this means that they really have good product that really solves the problem of water in irrigation. In the Philippines, Netafim started in early 80s. One of the first projects are the banana plantations in Davao. And in 1998, Netafim opened a subsidiary office in Davao, and it was closed in 2008 during the global financial crisis. And it was after then, it was offered to a distributor from 2008 to 2012, and then we got the distributorship in 2012 until today. The same with other irrigation company, Netafim focus on saving water. So it's not only Netafim, there are a lot of irrigation company, to name a few. The Naandan Jain, which is distributed by, I guess, Harvest. We also have the Rivolis Irrigation Company. So all of the companies dealing with drip irrigation system, the main purpose of the technology is really to conserve water, to save water. So in the logo that we have, in every Netafim project that we have, we normally put a sticker on it. And if you see Netafim, you can always see a grow more with less. So this is our motto. This is what we want to achieve, to grow more foods, to grow more crops with a lesser water, less area, less fertilizer, less labor. So for us to ensure a more productive farming, irrigation system or drip irrigation system, not only even if it's coming from Netafim, even if it's coming from other supplier, that will definitely solve the problem or the issue of water conservation. So as farmer, as a agronomist, as an engineer that is dealing with water, the main problem, our main issue actually is the water supply for agriculture is going down, and the population and food demand is going up. We all know that producing a crop will need water. No? Everybody needs water. So once the water supply is going down, and meaning that the food production will also go down, and in relation to the population and food demand that it's increasing, so we really have to make sure that the water supply will be used efficiently. So the solution is we have to be very efficient in water use, and to do that is we should have technology to make the irrigation system efficient and to increase production in order for us to feed the growing population. In 2008 and 2014 in US, there were people that trying to check which technology that will address the challenges of food sustainability. So based on that study, it was found out that crop protection and drip irrigation are the best technology for for the farmers to have it in order to produce better production. We can have the best seeds, or we can have the best tractors or mechanizations in the field, but if we don't have the correct irrigation technology, if we cannot give the correct water to the plants, if we cannot conserve water, conserving water meaning we will also be having more areas to farm because we will have more water to use. Talking about water sources, in Philippines we have a lot of rivers and lakes as considered as open sources. The problem is we cannot really maximize the use of those lakes. During rainy season, it flood. During dry season, we don't have water in the field. So if we will be able to maximize the use of water during the rainy season or during the dry period, we will be able to irrigate more areas and definitely produce more food for our growing population. The second one is the underground wells. That's the one of the sad reality in Philippines because people, just tend to imagine that there are unlimited water supply underground. But in reality, I guess the underground water has been depleted already. As far as I know, I'm not sure if it's really correct, but I guess Metro Manila is one of the the city that take so much water underground, and they said that the Metro Manila is going down because of too much extraction of underground water. So that's problematic. That's problematic. Number 3 is harvesting and capturing rainwater. Although the Department of Agriculture before, I knew for a fact that they are really doing what they call SWIP, the small water impounding project, that they develop a farm, they put a big reservoir, and then they collect rain during the rainy season and then use the water for irrigation during dry season. It was very, very good project, but I guess it was not enough. Very small number of SWIP projects has been implemented nationwide. Number 4 is the water reuse, reusing a domestic waste, domestic water, and use it again for domestic use. Although if you go to SM, when you go to the CR, you can see a note that the water being used in the CR is a recycled water. No, that's good. No, but I guess it's very small reuse of water. No, considering that we use a lot of water. And the last one is desalination. I think we're very, very far from this desalination. Although I have I knew some projects in Cebu that they are desalinating seawater to be used for drinking. Those areas doesn't really have access to water for drinking. So it's being used for drinking. But it's very small in Philippines, the desalination project. Since I am representing an Israeli company, let me share it with you how Israel is very efficient in using water. So in 1995, about 30% of their water being used for irrigation in agriculture. It's 30% of the water used for agriculture are coming from treated water. No? So they collect all the wastewater and treat it and use it again for irrigation. In 2006, it was increased to 50%. And in 2020, about 60% of water used in irrigation are coming from treated water. The target, I guess, in 2050 is they will reach up to 80% of wastewater that will be used for agriculture. So that's very nice of them to do that one, considering that they really have problem with water supply. If we talk about the water consumption in agriculture, in Asia, it's 81%. No, 81% of the fresh water is being used for agriculture, 10 for industrial, and 9 for municipal. In America, it's 50% of the fresh water is being used for agriculture, 34 for industrial, 16 for municipal, and so on with Africa of 82% fresh water for agriculture, 5 for industrial, and 13 for municipal. So in general, in summary, like almost 70% or 69% of the fresh water is being used for agriculture, 12% being used for municipal, and 19% used in industrial. And with regards to the farm that's being farmed by the farmers worldwide, 80% is not irrigated. It's not irrigated because we don't have enough water, and only 20% is irrigated. And from the 20% irrigated, 80% of that area that's being irrigated, it is irrigated by flood. And we all know already that flood irrigation consumes too much water with an efficiency of around 35%, which means that 80% irrigated by flood, 65% of the water were just wasted, and only 35% are being used by the plants, and only 6% for micro irrigation, and 14% used by mechanized sprinkler. So let's talk about the drip irrigation advantages over flooding. So without reading the notes, we can see the difference. With drip irrigation system, the water is irrigated directly to the root zone. While flood irrigation, the total area is literally flooded compared to the drip irrigation system, that those areas without plants do not get water. So the benefit is we save water. The benefit is the areas that doesn't have plants, if there will be weeds, it will die. So drip irrigation is supplying water to the plant, not really to the soil. So these are the different technologies and methods of irrigation. So probably this type of irrigation system doesn't fit on what you have learned in the school, but in general, this is it. No, so One, we have the flood irrigation. Then number two, it's still part of the irrigation, pressurized irrigation system, the pivot irrigation. We have the big gun irrigation. We have the dragline irrigation. We have the subsurface or the surface irrigation, the drip irrigation system, and we have the subsurface drip irrigation system. Although we're not able to show here the micro sprinkler, but it's still part of the micro irrigation system is almost the same with the drip irrigation system with a very low flow application rate. So talking about the efficiency, as I have mentioned that the flood irrigation will have about 30 to 35% efficient, furrow irrigation of like 45% on average, the sprinkler system of 50, the overhead, the smaller gun sprinkler of 60, the micro sprinkler of 80, and the drip irrigation system of about 90% efficient. So how this will affect the total area irrigated with the, decreasing available water for irrigation. So example, if some of you were able to attend the seminar from NEA last Wednesday, as mentioned, if you have a volume of water from the mountain and being developed by National Irrigation Administration, and based on their estimate, it can irrigate 100 hectares of area which will be irrigated by flood. If instead of irrigating it by flood irrigation and irrigate it by drip, we can actually irrigate 2.5 times than it is irrigated by flood irrigation. So meaning the same volume of water by flood irrigation, you can irrigate 100 hectares. But if you're going to irrigate it using by drip, you can irrigate 250 hectares area. So that's the difference of the technology that we are talking about, the drip irrigation technology on how to be precise in irrigation. So I'm not talking that it's the only company that will deal with that one is Netafim. As I've mentioned, any drip irrigation company can do this change. So what is drip irrigation system? For sure, a lot of you have experience already about drip irrigation system, but in my own definition, it is the application of water to plants in the right amount, in the right place, and in the right time. While fertigation is the injection of fertilizer used for soil amendments, water amendments, and other water-soluble products into an irrigation system. So if you have the drip irrigation system installed in your vegetable farm, installed in your orchard farm, you can put a very simple fertigation equipment wherein the cost is not even about 10% of the total irrigation project, and you can already maximize your irrigation system by injecting fertilizer or chemicals through the irrigation system. So if we're going to see how effective it will be, then if you have these plants with drip irrigation, with dripper in the center, and injecting fertilizer with the water, meaning the fertilizer that you inject will go straight to the root zone. Comparing on the right side, that the application of fertilizer is in broadcast, first you have to pray for rain. So, or else if you apply the nitrogen and the rain will not come in the next few days, the nitrogen will just evaporate and the plants will not get fertilizer as needed. So how effective would drip irrigation system compared to flood irrigation or rain irrigation or micro irrigation compared to the intensive drip irrigation. Assuming this is a layer of soil, on the bottom, you can see WP, its wilting point. In the upper part, you can see FC or field capacity. And on the top, it's the saturation point. When you apply water, it's saturated to this point. So if you apply on day one, if you apply flood irrigation until it's saturated, and of course it's quite hard to put the flood irrigation system, normally getting water from the river, pumping it with a pump. So you cannot do it every day. So example, you do it every 2 weeks. So the water will be depleted until it will reach probably the wilting point. You apply water again, and then you wait another 14 days. You apply again. So in this portion, I do not know if you can see this one on the cursor of my mouse. In this portion, from the dotted arrow to the wilting point, plants are already stressed, very, very stressed. On the upper portion, that the water will be almost submerged with, the plants are almost submerged with water. And at saturation point, the plants are also stressed. For micro irrigation, probably you do in every day or every 2 days. So you go to field capacity, the water is depleted, you apply again water, it's to field capacity. Again, it's better than the flood irrigation, but still, the plants will still have stress in this portion. And this one will not be applied in sandy areas because water will go straight down, like percolation, because it will not hold moisture if the soil is sandy. So comparing it with drip irrigation, applying once, twice, thrice, or 4 times in a day, depending on the crops, depending on the media that you use, depending on the soil that you have, applying it and maintaining field capacity from day one of planting until it harvests, it will definitely give a better production. You will definitely have a better plants. You will definitely have good production in the end. So this is the difference. This is the difference why we always said, or drip company said, that if you do drip irrigation system, you will have a better production compared to non-irrigated, compared to flood irrigation, or compared to other irrigation system. Because your plants are not stressed, your plants will have always the correct moisture in the soil all the time. So aside from the fact that we save water, like as I have mentioned, that instead of doing flooding, you can irrigate 2.5 times area if you use drip. And on the other hand, you can increase the production because you give the best growing condition. You give the best plants their growing condition, so you can have a better harvest. So although we also have a lot of studies in Philippines, but the studies in Philippines are just more on a like casual study. But example in Israel or in abroad, they really have a thorough study on drip irrigation system compared to fertigated or conventional or non-irrigated and drip irrigated fields. So for sugarcane, you can have an harvest of 73 tons per hectare. But if you do fertigation, you can reach as much as 170 tons per hectare. We have actually studied. We have project. Netafim had a project before in Bacolod, San Carlos City. A field of sugarcane which harvesting around 60 tons or I think 55 tons per hectare. They were able to achieve 149,000 kilos or 149 tons when they do drip irrigation system with fertigation. So from 55 to 149 in San Carlos City, in Negros Occidental, I guess. And for palm oil, from 20 to 30. For banana, from 87 to 108 kilos per hectare, tons. And for cassava, from 20 to 39 tons per hectare. So we can see the difference. Again, I want to tell you again that aside from the increase in production, we will be able to conserve water and we will be able to farm more areas because we were able to conserve water for irrigation. So, as I mentioned, our solution to help fight for scarcity of water and land and food is through this technology. Again, this is not only Netafim, this is also for other irrigation company. No? So this is the dream of all irrigation company to help conserve water, to increase more production. Even the land is getting smaller because some of the lands are used for subdivisions. And using this technology, we can still produce more for our increasing population. So this is very, very clear, especially in Mindanao, that Asian growers and investor, specifically for banana, they're really adopting the micro irrigation fertigation system for their fields for the following reason. Number one, save water and reduce weather risk. I have a friend, a banana, we call it bananero. He told me that the farm in 1980s, the banana farm in 1980s are irrigated by, I don't know, the farm in 1980s, the banana farm in 1980s are managed by God because they don't have irrigation system. But he said that majority in the year, during the day, it's very dry, but in the evening, it will rain. So that's the best growing condition of the banana, that during the day, the plants will receive enough sunlight, and during the night, it will receive water from rain. So second is increase yields, because we will be able to give the best growing condition of the crops, then definitely the yields will increase. Produce higher quality, the same reason for increase in yields. The plants will have the best growing condition, then the produce will be of high quality. Improve nutrient efficiency. We have some studies, although it's not really written, but we found out that, example for banana, if you apply 100% of the water or fertilizer requirement of the banana by broadcast, and then instead of applying it manually by broadcast, you apply it with drip irrigation system and apply only 75% of the required by the banana, the yield will be almost the same. Meaning, by applying the fertilizer with drip irrigation technology, you maximize the uptake of the fertilizer, the uptake of the plants by the fertilizer, then the growth will be almost the same, even though the the you applied less fertilizer. So it only means that with broadcast application, there are a lot of fertilizer wasted. Reduce labor through automation. So although it's not really big concern in the banana plantation or pig plantations in the Philippines, because labor is not really a big issue, but putting automation system for irrigation will help you a lot. Because if you do flood irrigation or if you do drip irrigation without automation, you will never know if one block will be irrigated with the same quantity of water with the other blocks. But with automation, you will always know that the block one is irrigated for 2 hours, or the block one is irrigated for this volume of water. Block 2 is the same volume water applied in block 1. So you will always find out, even if your pump tender will tell you a lie, that he put enough water for the plants. And it will reduce environmental impact for water pollution, salinity, and greenhouse gases. You know, this one is very very broad to discuss, but they said that if you do flood irrigation system for rice, you will have a lot of gas emission compare if you do with drip irrigation system. I'm not very well versed on this portion, but we can research if you need answers on this one. So this is the component. No? This is a typical component of the drip irrigation system. This could be a sophisticated one. We can do a simplified drip irrigation system, but of course, the type of irrigation system will always depend on what crops you grow, what type of farming you do, and what type of water you have. No? So number one is, right? So number one component, and the best component, I mean, not the best, no, the most important component for a drip irrigation or any type of irrigation system is the water source. We have few cases before. We met a client, we met a farmer, we offered them drip irrigation, and they said, okay, that's very nice, blah, 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 blah. And then when we asked them, sir, where's the water source? And they will tell us, hindi pala kasama yan. So, drip irrigation system or any type of irrigation system is just a delivery system. So you always have the water source being used to the field. So the irrigation system is the delivery system from the water source to the field. How you deliver it, that's the one that we are talking about. If you deliver it by gravity, like the NIA, then the efficiency is very small. If you deliver it through drip irrigation system, which is the one that we always suggested, then the efficiency is very high. So now, water source, the first component. The second is pump. Example, if your water source is below your field, you need pump to pump the water going to the field. If your water source is from uphill with a certain elevation difference, then we can neglect the pump. We have the main head control and filtration system. This is the most important part of the irrigation system. So this includes the filters, this includes the valves, this includes the fertigation equipment. Again, it will depend on what crops you grow and what type of farming you do. So we have the main line. So this is after the water is being filtered, then it will go straight to the main line, conveyance line going to the field. And you have the sub-main line. Either you divide the area into 4, you divide the area into 6. So you have valves controlling each sub-main line. and you have the laterals. So if you have a block of 10 hectares, you divide it into 5. So each block will have about 2 hectares controlled by a valve. So it will operate one at a time. So instead of irrigating the whole area at one time, then you will have to divide it, example, by 5. So like 6 to 8 in the morning, first valve, 8 to 10, second valve. So you maximize the time. And in that case, you reduce the size of the pipes. You reduce the size of the filter. You reduce the size of the pump. And this means a reduced price for irrigation system for the crops. So this is the heart, or this is the heart of the system. If you just install the pump and then you put pipes going to the field, you did not put filter, then probably in 1 week, 2 weeks, or 1 month time, the drip irrigation system are clogged already. So greenhouse are like food factories, no? So although Netafim started as an irrigation company, along the way they found out that greenhouse technology is a partner for drip irrigation. One of the problem in farming is the climate. We cannot control the climate, and if you plant now and if you don't have drip irrigation system and there's no rain, the plants will die. If you planted the crops open field, you put drip irrigation system, but it keeps on raining, the plants will die. So in order for us to solve that problem, we have to control, not totally, but partially control the environment by protecting the plants from rain. So either it rains hard, no rain, the plants are protected from the rain. So since there's no rain, then the drip irrigation system should always be functioning every day during the time of the cropping period, so that the plants will not die because it doesn't have rain. So because the crops are partially protected from rainfall, from insects, you can always have, not always, no, you can, if you maintain very well, you can have a very good crop inside the greenhouse compared to the one in the open field. So just to give you some idea on how much water used to produce a crop. So example, for a kilogram of tomato, if you produce it in open field production with a drip irrigation system, you will need about 60 liters of water to produce 1 kilo of tomato. If you do it in the greenhouse, you can have a greenhouse with a hydroponic system, but without recycling. It will reduce the water consumption from 60 liters to 22 liters. If you do greenhouse with recycling, you will only need around 10 liters of water to produce a kilo of tomato. And if you do a high-tech greenhouse, you can do 4 liters of water. You can have 4 liters. You will need only 4 liters to produce a kilo of tomato. So, example, if you don't have the drip irrigation system and you just use the flood irrigation system, then the 60 liters requirement to produce a kilo of tomato will be around 150 liters if you do flood irrigation, because you are not using a high efficient type of irrigation system. That's end my presentation, and I hope you understand a little bit. You can ask question and I will be happy to answer. Kung kaya ko lang, i-answer ko lahat. If not, we can always have email and we'll ask the expert to answer your question that I cannot answer. Again, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much po, Engineer Alex. So before we proceed to our open forum or to our questions, we will just show videos muna no, to know more about Netafim and also about the farm of Engineer Alex.
The Philippines is blessed with vast and fertile landforms. There is no doubt that it is giving substantial impact on our agricultural sector. With the rising demand of agricultural products, the country has always been ready to embrace innovation. One of the global leaders in creating farming technologies is Netafim, an Israeli manufacturer of irrigation equipment. With its exclusive distributor in the Philippines, NetaPhils Incorporated, their main target is to improve the agricultural production using the modern cluster farming technology that was first introduced in India.
The micro or drip irrigation for clustered farming in India that was implemented with Netafim was very successful. So because of that, Netafim decided to implement the same concept in Philippines, considering that we have almost the same land ownership in India and in Philippines.
Growing various vegetable crops, which is using drip irrigation technology developed by Netafim. In order to achieve sustainability in the production, drip irrigation technology comes as a solution.
When Netafim decided to bring that concept in Philippines, we tried to find the best cooperative or vegetable association based on the criteria that we made. This cooperative, the Bridge of Blessing, was the successful recipient of this technology. Netafim supplied the irrigation materials, and us, NetaPhils, implemented the project from installation, agronomic support. This is in order to transfer the technology to the farmers as early as possible.
This technology was awarded to a group of farmers in Turil, Davao City, the Bridge of Blessing Farmers Agricultural Cooperative.
Bridge of Blessing, ang mga tauhan dyan diri, dati gini siyang mga worker diri sa Sunridge Farm. Ang yuta, kang Paul Dominguez ni siya. Balik kami, gibuomin nila nga co-op para mapadayon ang among trabaho diri.
The land is 10 hectares wide and cultivated for different production such as tomato, bottle gourd, bitter gourd, eggplant, and lettuce. It was hard at first for the farmers, but with the help of technological advancements, farming had become more improved and efficient.
Pag abot sa Netafim diri, naglibog mi og unsa na siya nga technology. Bisan pag naglibog mi, nakita ginamo nga gwapo jud kay ang resulta. Sa amo ang production karon 4 times pa sa among harvest kaysa atong dati. Inya dako jud kay siya gikatabang sa amo.
The technology has also helped alleviate the life of the farmers, and it has caused a positive change to the cooperative.
Dako kay siya natabang sa amo ang pagpanguma diri tungod kay before manual ang among pagdilig, ang pag-abuno pod gina-broadcast pa. Pero karon through irrigation na dili na mi hago kayo kay naa na may irrigation, mao na may modilig sa among tanom, mao na pay mag-fertilize. Ako kay siyang tabang kay nahibala na mo ba kung unsa man ang kinahanglan nga kanang update, unsa dapat nato i-accept na mga technology para makatabang pa para mas ma-improve ang among production. Sa una, sa katong wala pang new technology, matingala mi nga boom bus among harvest 12 crates lang, 20 crates lang. karon matingala mi nga kaya man dai namo harvest og 100 grapes kung boom na gyud sa harvest sa amo ang tanim.
With the new technology that Netafim and NetaPhils have provided, life was not just made easier for the farmers, but it has also given them motivation.
Advantage man gud nga naa mi technology kanang murag ang tao murag na-encourage pud mi nga mas mo trabaho kay nakita man namo ang among production nga mas dako ba kumbaga di unlike before nga mura maura pug kag mag-uulba nga kadaghan sa among gilabay karon dako kay sa gikatabang kay daghan jud kay ang among production.
Karon tungod sa bag-ong teknolohiya, mas nahimong sayon among pag-uma.
Dako among pasalamat as farmer nga nisulod ni sila nga nakahatag og pagaan sa among trabaho ug mas nilambo ang amo ang panginabuhi.
The farmers of Bridge of Blessing Agriculture Cooperative is thankful to the new technology from Netafim and NetaPhils, and they also hope that more farmers will have access to this kind of technology to increase their production.
Sa mga farmers nga karon makita ninyo sa amoa nga ingon anid di ay ang improvement or ang makuha nato sa bagong nga technology nga pwede nato i-adapt para mas mudako pa nga ang production.
So we tried to showcase this technology to the government because this is one of the technologies that will help the farmers grow more with less.
Farming is not just a job, it's a way of life. And with the help of new technologies like Netafim and NetaPhils' modern cluster farming technology, we are heading to a better agricultural sector and a better Philippines. Netafim, grow more with less.
Real wealth, good morals, genuine happiness. This is what AMCG Farm and Resort will offer you. Located at Mulig Duril, Davao City, a relaxing ranch experience with education about the modernized technologies in agriculture. And experience farm tourism at its best here in AMCG Farm and Resort.
Very, very makasanaol na lang tatanan. Very good video. Now, let's go na po to our open forum. Is it okay, sir, if we proceed now?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Yun. Let's see. Let's go to the first question from one of our Facebook viewer. This is from Antonio Briones Goheling, and I think he is from NIA CDO. So he is asking po, we are on the process of conducting modernization plan for our national irrigation system. Can we ask for brochures or reading materials on drip irrigation? So okay lang po ba daw, sir? Can they ask for that?
Yes, yes, sir. Pwede, sir. Ma'am, you can share my email address to him para maka-email siya sa COA Then
Yes.
forward na po ang mga ano. But I guess face-to-face meeting will be also good. Although we have already some projects, like instead of having a open channel from the source going to the field, we use the pipes and irrigate a banana plantation here in General Santos City. Siguro nakaadto na si Sir Ana dito. Pero I think that's one of the project that under Sanea na instead of using open channel, they use closed pipe.
Okay, I see. Thank you so much, sir. And hopefully, we can also apply those technologies na here in Region 10 through the help, of course, of NetaPhils and NIA. So thank you, sir. Now let's proceed to the next question. This is from Jovit, which from what I know, is also an agri-engineer. So sabi niya, bayaw, payback period daw. So ano po yun daw yung payback period ng ganitong technology?
Example for banana, without consideration sa risk ng climatic condition, so payback period of around like 3 years. Pero if you're going to have a banana plantation and then you have a contract from a buyer and then you just plant and take the risk sa weather condition na baka mag-drought, like example straight of 30 days without rain, the plantation will suffer already. So it's not really about on the payback period kung magbutang kag drip irrigation system sa imong farm. It's way of like securing your farm na ma-damage kung wala kay rain na mag-abot.
Yes. Okay, I see. Thank you so much, sir, for clearing that up. Now let's go to the next question. This is from Jose Carlo Dizon. High technology irrigation system has high initial costs, which our ordinary farmers cannot afford. What are some of the efforts that we can propose, especially to the government, to close that gap between this technology and our ordinary farmers so that more farmers can benefit from it, not just on certain areas, but also majority of our country?
I'm not really sure if I am the one to answer that question, pero as far as I know, the government is helping group of farmers, not individuals actually, like associations or cooperative. So if you have that group, you can always approach the government through the DA and through the land bank to have a project like this one. So that's it.
Yes, that's true. So it's really better if you approach it through a farmer organization or an association, so that because that is really what is preferred and recommended right now, yung clustered na sila. So now let's go to the next question. This is from Dan Dols. If I want to implement the drip irrigation system, what is the minimum area required to have a break even?
In terms of the area, there's no like minimum area required for drip irrigation system. We install drip irrigation system as small as 200 square meters up to like 1,000 hectares per site. So it's not the cost of the irrigation system that will have problem in the ROI calculation, but it's on the overhead cost. Like say, for example, if you have a farm of 200 square meters and you include yourself in the payroll for that 200 square meters farm, definitely you cannot have a good ROI for farm produce. But if you do not calculate that one, even as small as 200 square meters will be good if you have other things to do rather than farming, rather than putting water to the plants. You can have a 200 square meters drip irrigation system for your 200 square meters field.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. That's good to know, and that's very interesting. No, na even a 200 square meters is area is already ano na okay na siya nalagyan ng drip irrigation system. Now let's go to the next question. In the Philippines, what hinders farmers and other agribusiness companies to utilize precision irrigation techniques?
I think not now, no. Before, it's really the change, no. People doesn't want change, and if they do like farming for the last 20 years, if they do farming for the last 50 years and they do good, maybe sometimes they failed, they have good harvest, and people will never change unless you give them a correct assurance or siguro kuan parang na sila makita na ibang reason why they have to implement this type of technology. But if you're going to have a farm and you have a contract market for your farm, you have to make sure that the produce are consistent. If you promise to deliver 1,000 kilos of these crops every week, you cannot gamble of putting farm without drip irrigation system or even greenhouse. Kaya possibly, if you cannot deliver the contract volume that you sign, probably kasuhan kanila or whatever. So in some farming activities that, they just plant corn or whatever crops that they have, if they fail, okay, fine. If they have good harvest, anybody will buy for their produce, then I think farmers will never have anything in mind na magbutang jud kog irrigation system. Pero as I have mentioned earlier, like for the banana plantations or any crops here in Mindanao, normally they put up a banana farm or any farms, they set up irrigation system first before they go into planting. So that's security for their farm.
Yes, that's true. And no, very true din no, na it's really the fear of change that sometimes hinder our farmers kasi nga mahirap i-break yung nakasanayan na. So, thank you so much for that, sir. Now, next question. This one is from the Department Chair of the Agriculture and Biosystems Engineering here in Xavier University College of Agriculture. So, Sir Alexis, Engineer Alexis Maristaza is asking, how compatible are Netafim drip irrigation systems with solar-operated water pumps, which are currently being promoted by the government?
Actually the solar powered pumps that are implemented in the Department of Agriculture are actually being used for flood irrigation. So they get water from either the river or underground and deliver it directly to the field, like for furrow irrigation or flood irrigation. So it's the same concept of irrigating by flood. So the solar pumps that were installed is just the water source of the irrigation system. And our drip irrigation system is the delivery system. So we can still incorporate the two, that instead of irrigating it by flood, we will use drip irrigation system.
Okay.
So the two are not competing. The two are not competing. They can be consolidated. And instead of irrigating 1 hectare or 10 hectares, probably for that solar pump, if we use drip irrigation system, we can irrigate more areas. As I have mentioned, more or less 2.5 times. So instead of irrigating 10 hectares, we can irrigate 25 hectares. If we add drip irrigation system to the solar pump that were installed in the fields.
Okay, I see. So they can be used at the same time pala. And then also, if as what Engineer Alex have said nga, if we use drip irrigation pa with paired with those solar pumps, so we can, it's more efficient kasi mas marami yung mai-irrigate natin. Okay? So now let's go to the next question. Ito po, what are the other cost considerations in using nutrigation techniques?
cost that will be incurred if you do drip nutrition, for a simple fertigation equipment that will cost around 5,000 pesos, or a sophisticated drip nutrition kit that will cost like 500,000 pesos. So again, it will depend on what crops you plant. Example, in my farm, in AMCG farm, that's about like 7,000 square meters of greenhouse, and I do hydroponics. So every time I apply water to the plants, it should come with fertilizer. The EC is monitored, the pH is monitored, the volume of fertilizer is monitored. So I have to have a sophisticated fertigation equipment that costs around 500 or 600,000 pesos. If you have 5 hectares farm of greenhouse, you can still use one fertikit, we call it fertikit. Or if you have like 2,000 square meters, you can have like the same fertikit of 500,000 pesos. If we have farm in the field, like open field farm for any type of crops, the application of fertilizer is volumetric. That instead of putting fertilizer every month, instead of putting fertilizer every 3 months, you can put fertilizer every week. So you consolidate the total requirement of fertilizer in 3 months, you divide it into 6 or into 12, and then you apply it weekly. So that's volumetric. You can apply water on Monday, you can apply water on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On Saturday, you apply water with fertilizer. And that's a very simple fertigation equipment. That fertigation equipment will probably cost, siguro kung 1 hectare, pwede na siguro mga 5,000. If you have like 10 hectares, probably around 20,000. If you have 30 hectares, the same fertigation equipment like 20,000 pesos. So the cost of fertigation equipment will always depend on what farming methods you use in your farm.
Yes, okay. That's good to hear. And actually, that's something to think of, no? Especially if we have farmer viewers and even those in the academe with your ano, no, demo farms. So that's a very good thing to consider nga. And also, I think, di ba, sir, it also depends on the crop, no? Kasi different crops have different ano rin naman eh, farming methods that you should use. So, now let's go to the next question. This one po, what is the economic life of this irrigation system? What are the maintenance routines that users should do to ensure consistent performance of drip nutrition systems?
Every project that we have, we always give them SOP, no? SOP. We call it actually SOM, no? Standard Operating Manual. So the maintenance will depend on the type of water that you have, will depend on the type of irrigation system that you have. Example for drip. So we need to check the quality of water. So if you have high calcium or high iron, so we're going to recommend every 6 months you have to apply chlorine. Every 6 months you have to apply phosphoric acid. You have to apply agua oxinada. And then we're going to tell you every month you have to flush out the system to, you know, to flush out the dirt at the end of the dripper lines. All these things will be taught to the farmer that bought our irrigation system. Second, the economic life of irrigation system will definitely depend on the type of farmer using it. It depends on how you maintain the drip irrigation system. We have projects in Davao that in 1 year time, the drippers were clogged. But we also have project, Netafim have project in 1980s that they uninstalled the system in 2014, but it was still functioning for the last 30 years. It was still functioning. So for pipes, if the pipes will not be exposed, it can last up to 50 years. The filters can last up to 10 years, depends on how you use it. The dripper lines, if it's not cut, it can last up to 10 years to 20 years. So it really depends on how you maintain the system. But we normally said economic life for irrigation system, just assume 10 years, you maintain it well. After 10 years, that's a very good bonus already.
Okay, wow, that's very good news. And actually, sinabi nga ni sir, it really depends on how you use it and how you maintain it, no? But still, 'di ba, it can really last a long time if there is proper maintenance pala. And yes, it's also very good even to the environment because it really can reduce the waste, 'di ba? Now, let's go to the next question. Ito po, from Red Vanguardia. Is it viable po ba na i-utilize ang pressurized irrigation system in forage production considering the number of animals?
Actually, we always recommend drip irrigation system or sometimes sprinkler system for forage production. Again, if you have irrigation system for forage, instead of maybe farming 10 or 20 hectares of forage farm to feed, numbers of cattle or whatever, probably you have to reduce the number of area of hectares that you're going to have, but put irrigation system on that one, maximize the production, and the production for a smaller area could be possibly the same of bigger area without irrigation system. So it still depends. Either you have a lot of area that you're not using it, then why should you put drip irrigation system or sprinkler irrigation system? But if you have limited area, again, it's maximization of production. So it depends on how it applied to your situation. But on my situation and the other farm situation, we always recommend to put irrigation system in all crops, actually.
Okay. So it's case-to-case basis then. So there are a lot of things to consider. Now let's go to the next question. Ito po, somebody is asking, what are the prerequisites before installing this kind of irrigation system? So land, soil, water, technical know-how. So ano po yung mga kailangan? What do they need first before you can install this type of system?
You should have the best design of irrigation system, and the best design will be the most economical drip irrigation system in your field. You can use bigger pipes that will function, but it will cost more. You can put smaller pipes, a cheaper cost, but you need to have a bigger pump because the pressure loss is too much. So the prerequisites are a good design, which NetaPhils or any other irrigation company are offering it for free, as we're offering it for free. So if you have a farm, 1 hectare, half hectare, 2 hectares, 10 hectares, we can design the proper irrigation system based on the water source, volume of the water source, type of crops, spacing of crops. So what we need is the area, the topographic area, the topographic map, if the area is hilly, water source, the type of crops, and the spacing of the crops. Once you have it, once you have sent it to us, we can decide it for free. We will give to you the costing of the drip irrigation system. You decide, we implement the project. We normally offer a free supervision. You install it by yourself, or your people will do that one, will do the installation, so that they will know how to install it, how to repair it in case there will be problems along the way.
Okay, I see. So, for our viewers who are interested, no, so ano pa yung hinihintay nyo? That is, you can now, I think, feel free to contact then Engineer Alex if you are interested to install this kind of systems in your farm. And again, as what he said, the design is very important. So, yun talaga yung dapat unahin. So, now let's go to the next question. Ito po, does Netafim has training programs for those who want to deepen their knowledge and skills in precision irrigation techniques? And if yes, how can we avail and where should we go?
Before the pandemic, NetaPhils is actually conducting like 2 or 3 times a year free of charge a training and seminar for drip irrigation and greenhouse production. But now we really have problem with the pandemic, so we'll wait and see. And you can always log on sa www.netafim.com and you will get a lot of mga documents, technical specifications for the irrigation system for you to review, to read, and better understanding of the irrigation system.
Okay, so there are really a lot of things that had been affected, no, due to this pandemic. So hopefully, once this pandemic is done, we can avail of those what you've said earlier, no, na services ng Netafim, no, ma-resume na din siya. So now let's go. Before we move to the next question, ito lang po, pahabol ni Red Vanguardia, the one who asked earlier about the forage system. Thank you po, Engineer, sa napakagandang sagot. By the way, we are from the Philippine Carabao Center National Headquarters. Maybe this technology will be in consideration for investment of our agency in the future. So yun po yung sabi niya. Thank you daw po.
Thank you.
Now, let's go to the next question. Ito po. To be able to maximize the functionalities and efficiency of this system, what should a farmer do in operating this system? What are the things that farmers should monitor?
Well, let me answer it on the other way. No, that's really the difference. When we talk about drip irrigation system, it's composed of 100 of pieces, no, connected to each other before it will become a system. So you can buy it to many suppliers, but the best irrigation system is when it is being represented by a company that will give you the best technical support when you have the system. So now, the best thing that the farmer should do is to follow what the supplier told them to do, when to operate, what to check, what to maintain, every day or every 2 weeks. One basic problem for drip irrigation system is I'm using it now, the following day I'm using it, and after 1 week, it was raining a lot for the last 2 weeks. So the farmer will just, take for granted the drip irrigation system that was installed in the field. After 1 month, the dry season come again, and he wanted to irrigate the system, and a lot are cuts. There were also already clogging. So just for that example, even if the system or even if the weather condition is very bad, that it keeps on raining every day for the last, let's say, 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, you really have to have the system functioning for at least 5 minutes for every 1 week, for every 2 weeks, or for at least every 1 month, so that the water inside the dripper line will be changed. And if it has a lot of iron, it will not decay inside the dripper line and it will clog up the dripper line. So that's one. No, it's a lot of things that will happen inside the irrigation system, and we just need to make sure to follow what is being told by the supplier or the technical guy to the farmer. And that's one problem. If you just bought it, from somebody else that doesn't have technical support from the company, then you really have to have problem with your drip irrigation system.
I see. Just a follow-up question, sir. So after installation, sir, does Netafims, can the farmers or those who own the farm still ask for assistance from Netafim after installation? So pwede pa po kayong, parang after sales maintenance?
Yes.
I see. Very good.
Ang technician namin is mas marami pa kay sa mga salesman namin. So we make sure na ma-address lahat ng problema.
I see. That's very good to hear. So, okay. So, sa mga interested dyan, just go check out Netafim. Now, let's go to our next question. Ito po. How are these nutrients incorporated into the system? Are there fertilizers which cannot be incorporated or must be avoided? And how do we know if we are applying the right amount and at the right time?
Um, Two scenario. If you are applying in open field, so example, for banana, example, you apply 100 kilos of nitrogen, example, 500 kilos of nitrogen for 1 year. So you divide it for 12 months. And then if you want to divide it for like every week, so you divide it by 52, so that would be around like 10 kilos of nitrogen per hectare per week. So applying it during the irrigation system is the best time to apply that fertilizer. Why? Because since you decided to put irrigation system, meaning you know that the plants need water. So when the plants need water, then the plants will absorb the water. And if you incorporate the fertilizer with the plants, with the drip, with the water, then the fertilizer is being used by the plants. Now, on the type of fertilizer, all soluble fertilizer can be applied together with a drip irrigation system. How to check that one? So we normally do jar test. So in order for you to know if that fertilizer is really soluble, so example, you want to mix, you can see in the bags of fertilizer, like mixing, water soluble fertilizer, mixing ratio is 1 kilo to 2 liters of water. So we always consider 1:5. So 1 kilo of fertilizer to 5 liters of water. So we put like 200 grams of fertilizer. We put it in a 1 liter container. We shake it well. And then after we shake it, it's totally, it's either totally dissolved or not. Then we set it for a while, and we check every 30 minutes the number of, the level of suspended solids. So if you can see that there are a lot of suspended solids settled down at the bottom of the container, then that fertilizer is not really soluble fertilizer. But just to name a few of fertilizer that we are not really using for a drip irrigation is like the diammonium, the DAP, diammonium phosphate, the calcium nitrate. We always apply that one, but we have to make sure that it's stirred well, agitated well, because it's like, it's like oily. But there are a lot of fertilizer that cannot be applied through drip irrigation system, like the DOPHOS, the superphosphate, that cannot be applied through drip irrigation system because it cannot be dissolved. But just to make sure that the fertilizer is soluble, you make a jar test of the fertilizer for you to know if it's really soluble or not.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. That's very good information. And I know that's very useful to our viewers right now. So I think that is the last question that we have. So, sir, of course, before we proceed to the next activity, I'd just like to ask a message from you to all of our viewers right now. Ano po yung gusto niyong sabihin sa kanila?
Actually, wala na. Pero since we are all, siguro ang nag-attend dito is parang farm enthusiast. So although I am really go into a business in drip irrigation system, and we're selling drip irrigation, we're selling hydroponics, we're selling greenhouse technology, but I am also really encouraging people to really engage in modern technology of farming. So if we will not, I mean, the average age of a farmer right now is, I think, around 58 years old, and it's quite hard to sell new technologies for those farmers. So we really need to have a young generation farmers para at least mas madaling mag-adapt ng technology. And I guess people wake up during the pandemic that one of the best business that you can have is farming. No? That's the only, I guess, one of the business na nag-stand still during the pandemic because still people will eat, no, compared to other businesses. So young entrepreneurs, young farmers should go start and develop a small farm, help produce vegetables for ensuring food sustainability. That's one of the goal of the government that they want to really achieve. So the solution of that one is the young entrepreneurs with modern technologies of farming. Tara, diretso na ta.